I was about to say, am I live? Because I was just sitting here and nothing was happening. It's like, wait a minute. Good morning. Hey, guys. Hey, Judy. Hey, Wiggles. Hey, replay crew. Hey, lurkers. What's up, guys? Judy. Judy is awesome. Judy texted me yesterday or Saturday. Yeah, I don't know. This weekend sometime and said, guess what? They are streaming this trial. So we get to watch this trial, guys. This trial that I thought they were not going to stream because it was supposed to start on Thursday and no trial. And I was like, oh no, is this going to be another trial that I get all excited about and then they don't stream? But yay! They are. So we get to watch this. I still have to leave at 11:45. But I wanted to start with everybody else because I didn't want to get too far behind. So I don't know what time I'll be home this afternoon. Are you okay, Spike? Bless you. Goodness. Bless you. Can you guys hear that? He is sneezing up a storm. Are you okay, dude? Did a bug fly up your nose? What is happening? He just sneezed like 4 times in a row. Aunt Judy said, bless you, Spike. So, if you guys didn't see my video, I did like Legal Bites calls them primer videos. I've never done this before. Actually, I take that back. I think I have done this one time before. But Jose Antonio Soto-Escalera, he was married, but he had a mistress who was like half his age. She got pregnant and then extorted him for $500. She said it was to get an abortion. So he gave her the money and she didn't get the abortion. She decided to keep the baby, who she named Josiah Thomas. She was 8.5 months pregnant, scheduled for a C-section the next week. She was found in a ditch with her throat cut. She had a blunt force trauma injury to her head. I was going to say back of the head. I think it was back of the head. This happened in St. Lucie County, Florida. The town was Fort Pierce, I think. Hey, Jill. And he is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of second-degree murder. So I guess the second degree is like a lesser included. I think it was first degree. I don't know why he waited so long. Because it was early in her pregnancy. Like, she called him to say, yo, I'm pregnant. Give me $500 to get an abortion or I'm telling your wife. And that's not what she did. She actually didn't even keep the money. She gave it away. Which, that's not how you do that. Like, if you're going to extort money from someone, you keep it. Okay, we have movement, no sound. I guess they really are starting this early. I thought it was like, the jury was supposed to be there at 8:45 and they just And they just did that like as a placeholder, but no, we have movement in the court. Y'all have me a point. It's a lid. I'm gonna. He is so big. That's what sucks about. Now I'm not gonna stop doing it. Don't anybody panic. But that's what sucks about streaming trials is I don't have time to make other appointments and stuff because I'm always here. It sucks. You know, they should have, like, doctors should have, and vets and places like that, they have like a special, like a Saturday afternoon or something for people that have 9 to 5 jobs every day. Cause, like, and travel, cause they're strong and they don't want to go inside that door. But he has to work 9 to 5. I'm the one that has to stop streaming in the middle of the day to take them to the vet and then kill myself dragging them inside the building because they know where they are and they don't want to go inside. Hey, Nichelle. Yes, Idaho. This guy is a pile of guano. And he wasn't even mad about the $500. He was mad because she didn't get the abortion. And of course, I assume she continued to um, threaten him with telling his wife because she made the statement to one of her friends that she could get anything she wanted out of him if she threatened to tell his wife. So yeah, he's a piece of guano. But at the same time, I'm not victim blaming. I'm not. But at the same time, don't sleep with a married man unless she did it on purpose because she could do that. Maybe she wanted to be with a married guy, whatever I want, you know? Some women are like that. I'm not. I wanted to get married to somebody that would treat me like a princess. Hey, Terry. Meow. What? What meow? What meow? What? What meow? What? Come here. Come here. I don't know what she expected. And she already had a kid. She's only 23 years old. I don't know how old the other kid was. Hello. Well, maybe I was wrong. Maybe we're going to sit here for 15 minutes. Well, another 5 anyways. Good morning, Shadow. What's up? Did you want to address your public this morning? I don't think they can. There. Now they can see you. Well, if we move the microphone up a little bit. There. Okay. Now they can see you. Do you need to say something? Would you like? Here's the keyboard. Would you like to say something? Hmm. No, no, not today. Okay, you don't have to. Just sit there and look pretty. You trying to find out why Spike was sneezing? What? You're looking at the buttons. What are you gonna do? My pets do not watch TV. They have never watched TV. When I was in the hospital so much, the last the last part of my chemo and then the 2 years after, excuse me, bye. The last part of my chemo and the 2 years after that, I was in the hospital 8 times and I would FaceTime Travis and say, I want to see my babies. They didn't even act like they cared. They would look around like they were looking for my voice, but they never ever zeroed in on my face. I don't know why. And I don't know why. And it scares me a little bit because I know she's sick and she's become aware of something that she's been around her entire life. And I don't know what that means or if it's just a coincidence. So it scares me a little bit. Because, like, why are you just now paying attention to something you've been around your entire life? I don't understand. Is it because you're sick and you're just laying there and, oh, look, there's a TV. What is that? You know, like, I don't know why it scares me. It just does. But, um, if you guys saw the picture that I posted, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, she was watching Mary Poppins with me. And so I had to take a picture of it. And then I was watching a Disney streamer, and one of the people in the chat was trying to get their kid to sleep. And the, the live streamer turned the camera around to his face and was talking to the kid, was like, okay, buddy, you gotta go to sleep now. It's time to go to bed. And Belle, like, zeroed in on him and was just staring at him. And I was like, dude, entranced right now. She is locked in on you. And I think that was maybe the first time I've ever seen her pay attention to the TV. And I was like, what is happening? And so now she watches it all the time. She doesn't like watch a whole show or anything like that, but she pays attention when it's on. If it's something that interests her, she'll sit there and watch it for like 10 or 15 minutes and then she'll go away. But she's never ever done that before. I had a cat. This is going to sound so ridiculous, you're going to believe. I used to watch Cats, the show, Cats. I had it on VHS years and years and years ago. And I had a recliner in front of the TV in my bedroom, and she would sit in the recliner and watch Cats. She loved it. I swear that's true. I know you guys aren't going to believe me, but I swear it's true. She liked cartoons too. She'd watch cartoons. But she liked cats. Yeah, I knew they weren't going to start at 8:45. Yeah, 9 o'clock. Oh well. Well, now they're not starting at 9. I just heard sound. Come on, people. I don't have all day. Oh, cool, Michelle. I've put on the cat TV and the dog TV things on YouTube, and they don't pay attention to it. I sit there and I go, look, guys, oh, isn't that cute? Look, there's a squirrel and there's a whatever and there's a what, and they just ignore it. I end up watching it and they just sit there. Thanks again, Judy. Oh, wait, you had trivia. And now it's not going to show it to me. There we go. Jose Soto-Escalera is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of second-degree. Tania Wise was his victim. Her and her unborn, unborn child were found in a drainage ditch near the woods. Oh, yeah. I said all that in my... Okay, well, thank you, Judy. That's what I get for not reading what Judy says before I start talking. This is true, Wiggles. I'm just so glad we get to watch it. I was feeling so guilty, y'all, because I did that video and I was like, I think I found our next trial. I was even going to go back and change the title of that video because I felt so bad. And then someone was like, yay, I want to watch this with you. And then I had to go, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't think it's being streamed anywhere. StreamYard is starting its crap already. Yeah, I had heard that. It has to do with food poisoning. Come on, StreamYard. Oh, really? I don't think I watched anybody that uses StreamYard over the weekend. Because on the weekends I mod for a Disney streamer, and Disney streamers use Prism. I've never heard of Prism before. Um, I don't know if it's for like people that stream on the go with their phones, or if it's just what they prefer to use. Like I use StreamYard because the people that taught me how to stream use StreamYard, you know, and so like the Disney people, they all learn from other Disney people, so maybe that's why they all use Prism. I don't know. I should maybe look into Prism and see if I can use it for this, if it works better than StreamYard, because StreamYard is. Oh, really? Maybe I should look into Streamlabs. You know, it. What happens is it starts to. They add a bunch of new stuff, then it starts to like level off, and people don't have as much trouble with it. And then they decide to add a whole bunch more stuff, and then we start having trouble again. And then it'll kind of level off and start to do well, and then they'll add a whole bunch of more stuff. It's like, stop. Stop adding the new stuff that we don't need. So, notes tab. I don't even see it now. I don't even know how to find it. Maybe I turned mine off. But last week, there was a notes tab that you could click it and then type in any notes that you needed to make. How about a pen and a paper? Why do you need a note tab? I don't. Or I have my laptop here. Or you could have your tablet here. Or you could just switch to Google Docs real quick. You could if StreamYard wasn't taking up all your bandwidth so you could do something else on your computer. I don't know why they keep me adding stuff we don't need. Stop it, StreamYard. All right, now it's after 9. Yay, no. Places to be. Can we please do this along? Oh, I hate getting my eyes checked. Streamlabs works a lot like StreamYard, and I tried it one time. I was playing around with it, and then I went back to StreamYard. I don't remember when I did Stream. It meant I needed to buy it for some, and I didn't have the money at the time. That might have been why I didn't use it. It keeps muting me. I wonder if her mom's going to be there. Probably. Her mom is. She's going to be a Spitfire at victim impact statements. Because I've seen some of her interviews already. But her mom, I mean, they were like the family. I don't know how much they knew about Jose, but they were ready and willing to accept this grandbaby.
Purposes.
Which is really
And you're
sad.
all ready for me to bring in the jurors so we can start with the opening statements.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's bring in the jury.
Hi, Judge
I'll give
Merman.
them some instructions and we'll
I
start with
like
the
his
opening
name.
statements.
It's like Merman, but it's Merman. Now, right after this right after this happened, his wife supported him. I know she's supporting him. I wouldn't be if he was my husband. Hey, baby. Are the sneezies gone? Are you done with the sneezies? Are the sneezies gone? The sneezies all gone? Are they all gone, baby? They all gone? The sneezies all gone? He looks a lot different. Come on, let's go. I can't believe he pled not guilty. I guess they're gonna say something else. I don't know what difference you can come up with for this. Oh yeah, he says he was working on somebody's battery. And he also said that he never went all the way with her. That she just stripped for him. At the time, and she was 23. Yeah.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I hope you had a wonderful extended weekend. Begin with the opening statements. I want to remind you of some of the Thursday afternoon, the high points. So most importantly, and I've repeated multiple times, the most important element of a fair trial is that the jury bases its decision on the evidence presented. officially in the trial. Your fellow jurors don't do any research about the case by any form whatsoever, electronic or otherwise, and avoid all media coverage of the case. Remember also a rule that I told you about as the trial progresses. Don't form any definite or fixed opinion about the merits of the case. Pen and pad to take notes should you wish. You're not required to take notes. Please remember during the breaks when I send you back into the jury room, leave your notepad on your chair and it will be there for you when you come back into the room, into the courtroom, and that also follows for the every day of court session. Of course, during deliberations, you'll be entitled to take your notes back with you to assist you during deliberations. We're about to begin with the opening statement. If you recall, on Thursday, I advised you of the importance of the opening statement. If you recall what I told you, what the lawyers say to you at this time is not evidence. This is not part of the evidentiary portion of the trial, but it's very important. The way I like to explain it to you is, if you could imagine if we didn't do opening statements, we would start the state calling witnesses, and you would have no idea what this case is about. We have an adversarial system. Each side opposes the other, and there are things on both sides that they think are important. So it gives them an opportunity to prepare you for the evidentiary portion of the trial. It gives an opportunity to tell you evidence they think will be presented once we start hearing the evidence. And that's a huge advantage, rather than you going into the trial cold with no idea what the case is about. Now you will be able to have advance notice of what they believe you should be paying close attention to, and that will give you tremendous advantage in all at the end of the hear what they say is not evidence in that regard. And we start off with the state has the burden of proof, and they may begin with their opening statement. Mr. Cormier.
I have to do it, Eric. I have no other choice. I'm going to lose everything. If my wife finds out something like that, oh my God, bro, I'm going to lose everything. Bro, I have a spot. I have to find a spot where I'm going to dump her. I'll throw away all clothes, or I'll burn them, or I'll wash them with Clorox. Those are the words from the defendant in this case on August 21st, 2018. The evidence will show you that Jose Soto-Escalera, the defendant in this case, he had a problem. He had a big problem. And he needed to find a way to get rid of it. He had no other choice in his eyes. And that problem that he had was the victim in this case, Tania Wise. On August 21st, Tania Wise was a mom. She was 38 weeks pregnant, and she had no idea that this defendant was carefully planning out her murder. You're going to learn that the defendant in this case, he worked for Waste Pro. He was a garbage truck driver, and he worked with his nephew on the garbage truck. And the reason we're going to know and hear how he planned out this murder is because he did it on the garbage truck while they're driving around, picking up trash, doing his route. But what the defendant didn't on is that it's all recorded. There's video, there's audio, and even though they talk in Spanish, everything is being translated in this case. He drives around on his trash route trying to figure out where he's going to get rid of her body. he's gonna leave. Let's 2 days later, that's 1,000. Let's go. That's the day of the murder in this case. And it's a normal day for Jose. He's driving his truck and he's planning out a murder. He cannot let his wife know that another woman pregnant. He's running out of time. She's getting ready to C-section. She's going to have this baby. He cannot let that find out because he's going to lose everything. That's all he cares about. What's going to happen to him? Not that he's going to kill a 38-week-old pregnant mother. That doesn't concern him at all. And he's talking casually in this car to his nephew. You think I should choke her? Or would it be better if I just do a big blow and it's all over with really quick? And then he tells him, you know what? She's not the type of person that anyone's even going to look for. Not even going to look for her. They're not going to worry about her. And you know what? If they don't find anything within the first 48 hours, they're never going to find anything. Well, despite the defendant's planning and discussion over and over again of where he's going to do it, which way he should do it, how he's going to commit this murder, he means him in this case, Tanya didn't hear from her mother. Puts her son to bed that night, and then Tanya leaves the house. The last time she sees her daughter alive is sometime after 8 o'clock on August 23rd, 2018. She doesn't know exactly where her daughter's going. She thinks she's just going out for a little bit. Tanya didn't have a car. He didn't have a way to go anywhere, and you'll learn through the recordings that the defendant, part of his plan was to lure her out, to get her out of the house, and then to take her somewhere to murder her. So that's August 23rd. That's the night of the murder. And you're going to learn the defendant, he goes, he picks her up, and then he takes complete his plan. So fast forward to the next morning. It's August 24th, 2018. Tania Wise has been murdered. Christine Gabin is driving in St. Lucie County. The site of this murder is it's on a road called Russo Road. It's just north of Indrio. It's a little bit west of town. There's an intersection between Russo Road and Johnston Road. And it just so happens that this route is along the defendant's trash route. It's a spot that he passes, that he drives on his garbage truck route. But Christine Gabin, she's driving down that road that day, and on the side of Russo Road, she sees what she thinks is trash in a ditch, in a swale on the side of the road. But when she looks closer, she realizes it's not trash. It's Tania Wise. So immediately she sees a body on the side of the road, and she calls 911. The county sheriff's office is going to respond to the first officer's death. He takes some photos of Tanya as she found the way that she is initially. You're going to hear that crime scene investigators, there's 3 different crime scene investigators that worked on this case: Donna Carmichael, Kayla Lim, and Janine Vasquez at the time, now Janine Hiller. They go out to the scene because there's a dead body. We need to figure out what happened. They go and they look at the body. Tania Wise down on the side of the road. There's some bodies found, and she's completely face down. Eventually they turn her over. They can see that she has some injuries to both her head and to her neck, and that there is what appears to be vomit in the swale of where her face was laying down. They document all the evidence at the scene. They take photographs, and Tania Wise is brought to the examiner's office to have an autopsy performed. So now we're on August 24th. She's been found. She's brought to medical examiners, and they're riding in the garbage truck again as if nothing happened. And he's talking to his nephew again about what happened. And he's telling him, he says, yeah, I washed even though I had gloves on, I washed my hands with that brake cleaner. His nephew asked him, did you see, was there any blood? And he said, yeah, there's blood. It was all over the clothes. But I got rid of it. They're not going to find any evidence. And once again, he's talking in this truck. He doesn't know that she's been found at this point yet, but he's saying, no one's even going to look for her. She's the kind of person that runs away for a few days. I'm fine. He thinks he's in the clear. No one's gonna find her. So that's August 24th. And what's gonna happen is now law enforcement's going to start to work the case. They are going to figure out who knew her, how did they know her, when's the last time people saw Tania Wise, because they need to start who she saw, what could have happened to her. And they start to bring in people for interviews the next day on the 25th. And what also happens the next day on the 25th is her autopsy. And what you're going to learn what happened to Tania Wise is that she suffered 2 major injuries that could have caused her death. She was struck, and you're going to hear from Linda O'Neill, the medical examiner at the time, she was struck on the top of her head. And she suffered skull fractures, she suffered hematoma, edema, and that the cracks in her skull came all the way up to her orbital bones. Linda O'Neill will tell you that that was a significant blow that she took and that it couldn't have been done with a fist. That it had to be done with some type of extremely hard object. The other injury that you're going to hear that Tania Wise sustained was a 19-centimeter cut across her neck. It comes from the front to the back, consistent with it, someone possibly standing behind her. There's 2 remaining almost to her spinal cord. And you're going to see photographs of that. And the reason those cuts are so deep and she's hitting the head so hard is because this defendant had to make sure she was gone. He planned out, and he was worried that he was going to get found out. He thought he was going to lose everything. And his solution was to kill Tania Wise and Josiah Wise, which was going to be the 38-week-old baby that she had that was getting ready to be born within the next couple of weeks. You're going to hear that the sheriff's office continued to work on this case. They gathered evidence, and they eventually office on August 25th, 2018 for an interview. And when he comes in, he drives in a silverish gray Dodge truck. Now what you're going to learn about this truck is that same day of the finding of the body or the same day of the murder on August 23rd, there's another individual by the name of William Mullen. William Mullen owned a pizza shop at the time, and he was driving on Russo Road in that area at about 11:30 at night. And he sees something that's odd to him. As he's driving down the road, he sees a silverish truck, meets the description of the defendant's truck. It has fog lights on. It's just sitting side of the road. He says he sees the truck, he pulls up, it turns its lights off, it turns its lights on, and then it drives off. And he thought that was kind of weird. So the next day, when he sees law enforcement there, he goes and calls 911 and says, hey. And just so happens that the day that this defendant comes in to give an interview, he's driving a truck that matches that description, consistent with the truck that's seen right at the murder scene. Another piece of evidence that the sheriff's office says, you know what? It's starting to look like it's Jose Soto-Escalera. So he gives consent to search his car. Law enforcement, they swab his car that particular day. And then they talk to him. And when they talk to the defendant, you're going to hear his interview, you're going to listen as if, despite what he just did, he's surprised. He's sad. I can't believe this happened. I feel bad for her family. I hope you find who did this. I don't know anything about it. He minimizes his relationship with Tania Wise. He's like, yeah, I know her. We're not friends. They start to ask more questions. She was pregnant. Is there any reason that we're going to find out this is your child? Are we going to learn that this baby is yours? Nope. Not my child. That's not possible. Never had sex with Tania Wise. No. Obviously, law enforcement, there's a medical examiner, they're going to do a paternity test of this baby that Tania had. And they're going to look at it. But what they're also going to look at is they're going to start to look at phone records. They're going to look at calls. They're going to do search warrants. And that's exactly what is done in this case. After the 25th, they do a search warrant subsequent on the defendant's vehicle again on September 24th of 2018. And at that time, they use something, and it's called Blue Star, and it's a chemical that they spray inside of his truck. And if there's blood inside, it lights up blue in the dark. So they spray that, and sure enough, they look inside of his truck, and there's parts that are glowing. Evidence that there was blood in his truck. So what do? They cut out the part where they see blood, they send that off also for DNA testing. So what you're going to hear about the DNA evidence in this case is that they took a lot of swabs and they tested a lot of stuff. But there's a couple things that are extremely important. One of those is that they checked multiple people to see who could be the father of that child, and the 99.99%, it's the defendant. So not only did he kill Tania Wise, he killed his own son that she was 38 weeks pregnant with because he didn't want his wife to find out that he had been with someone else. He cut her throat and bashed her head in, knowing that possibly it was his child, but he did it anyways. Because he had planned it out, and he said, I have to do it, Eric. I have no... You're going to hear some evidence that even though that he's going to tell law enforcement what he did and where he went, and the cell phone evidence that's going to introduce in this case, the cell phone tower evidence, it's going to show that's not correct. That's not where he was. The evidence is going to put him out at the scene of the crime. It's going to put him near that area where this crime occurred out on Russo Road. So, throughout the trial, listen to the evidence, use your common sense. But when you go back and you listen and you watch and you hear what is said on these recordings, and you consider what the facts are, that the fact that this was his child, and that he lied about it, and that he hid it, and that he then planned this murder for multiple days, and then he carried it out.
Hey,
At the end of
Carla.
this trial, you're going to find the defendant guilty of both first-degree murder of Tania Wise and first-degree murder of an unborn child, because that's what the evidence is going to show. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cormier. Does the defense wish to make an opening statement at this time? Ms.
Yes,
Lee?
ma'am. Thank
Please do. Thank you.
Unfortunately, the profession that Miss Wise was in, a dancer and an escort, brought her into contact with many unsavory characters. And what you learned the days following the discovery of her body. Law enforcement got DNA samples from many men, not just my client. They got a DNA sample from a gentleman by the name of Mark Burke, who she was involved with and was her longtime paramour and pimp. They got DNA from a person named Bradley Rodriguez Jr., who was also her longtime boyfriend, who had been kicked out of her mom's house because he was with Tania, in front of her mother. They got DNA from a gentleman named Eric Alvarado, who is my client's nephew. And they got DNA from a person by the name of Giovanni Alvarado, who dropped Tania off on the night that she was murdered. Wise had told Bradley Rodriguez Jr. that he was the father of her son. And you will learn that she also told Mark Burke that he was the father of her son. It was in this situation that her untimely demise occurred. And the judge is going to tell you, when we talked about it during jury selection, that reasonable doubt can come from the evidence, lies a discerning ear and eye during the course of this trial, and listen to not only the evidence that you see and hear, but the evidence that you won't see and that you won't hear. And I have no doubt that at the close of the evidence,
What?
no other
Now begin with the
Sense. How do you consider the evidence that you don't see and you don't hear? And they got DNA from other people, but the baby's DNA was still his.
evidentiary portion of the trial, and the state may call its first witness.
Yes, sir. People say for call Christine David.
Okay, everybody, I got 6 likes. Y'all need to hit the like button. Well, I only have 6 people in here now, but I had 8 a minute ago.
Go forward, raise your right hand and face the floor.
Do you swear or affirm that evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Thank you.
Head over this way for the witness.
And you may inquire of the
We
witness.
will definitely pray for your grandson, Carla.
Morning.
Morning.
Can you state your name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Christine Gaben, Gavan,
Okay, Ms. Gaben, have you lived here in Fort Pierce all your life?
since I was 7 years old.
Okay. And let me take you back to August 24th of 2018. You remember what you were doing that day?
I left my house and in Spanish Lakes Fairways, went to Johnston Road and was going to take a shortcut to my granddaughter's and went down Russo Road.
Okay. And you go down, and where did your granddaughter live?
She lives over all the other side of Emil Avenue.
Okay. And you left your home and you were going to your granddaughter's house?
Yes.
Okay. And you said you took a shortcut and you got on Russo's Road? Mm-hmm. Okay. And describe in as much detail as possible what happened and what you saw on August 24th of 2018.
Started down Russo and I was looking out my windows and there was like somebody had thrown bags of trash out the window, and so I got to the end of the road where Rusacas crosses and I stopped and I thought, oh, wait a minute, that's not what I saw. And I stopped and got my bearings again and I thought, I think that was something more than just a bag laying there. So I turned around and I went back and saw that it was a body laying there. So I stopped and called 911.
Okay. And do you remember what time you called 911?
About 10:50.
Okay. And how do you remember that time?
I was very shocked, very upset, so I just sat there and waited for him to arrive.
Okay. And when you called 911, did you take a look at the timestamp on your phone?
Yes, I think it was like 10:54, something like that.
Okay. And the police officers arrived? Mm-hmm. Okay, and without telling us what you said, because that would be inadmissible hearsay, but did you tell the police officer what you saw?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Gavin, thank you very much. I have no further questions.
Cross-examination.
No cross search, thank you.
This witness be released from your subpoena. That means you're free to stay or leave as you wish. You may step down to the witness. And the
Hey, Marty.
next witness or item of evidence.
Yes, sir. The people of the state of Florida called Deputy Josh Gilkey.
I did, but I didn't know this trial was streaming. I still have to leave in a little bit to go to my eye appointment. It's Judy's fault. It's always Judy's fault.
Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Morning, sir.
Can you state your name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Deputy Joshua Gilkey, Gilkey.
Okay. And it's obvious based on your dress, what will you do for a living?
Road Patrol Deputy, St. Louis County Sheriff's Office.
Okay. Go ahead and give the jury a thumbnail sketch of your education, your training, and your experience, please.
I have an associate's degree in criminal justice. I've attended the basic academy for law enforcement. I'm a traffic homicide investigator, and I've worked for St. Louis County Sheriff's Office for about 8 years now.
Okay. And were you working back on August 24th of 2018?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In what capacity were you working? What was your assignment?
Road Patrol Deputy.
Okay. And go ahead and just give the jury a brief summary of what a road patrol deputy does on a day-to-day basis.
Road Patrol Deputy typically responds to calls for service. So you call 911, and if it's within that area that I'm working, I will respond to that call. I also do routine traffic stops as well.
Okay. And on August 24th of 2018, first of all, were you on duty?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And describe for the jury how you were dressed.
We had a different uniform back then. It was like the other deputies in this room, polyester uniform. So I was dressed in that uniform.
Okay. And were you going to mark unit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you receive a call or to respond to the area of Russo's Road and Johnston Road in St. Lucie County?
I heard my zone partner, he got dispatched to the call. I just happened to be a little bit closer, so I arrived on scene first.
Okay. About how far, just give the jury an idea, about how far away is that area from India Road?
So it's approximately about a mile and a half.
Okay. And so you get dispatched and walk the jury in as much detail as possible what you see. You are the eyes to this jury, so walk them through what you see.
So whenever I first arrived on scene, I saw the caller in a black car, made contact with her. I believe her name was Christine Gavin. And she informed me that she had saw what could possibly be a deceased body down the road approximately 50 feet away from us to the east on the south side of the roadway.
Okay. And did you approach that body?
Yes.
Okay. Tell the jury what you saw.
I saw what appeared to be a female body, and she appeared to be deceased at that time.
Okay. And what did you do in response?
I immediately determined that this was going to be an active crime scene due to there being a deceased female on the side of the roadway. Rescue was there with me as well. Nobody went up and touched the body or anything like that.
Did you touch the body?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibits 116 and 117 for identification purposes. Take a look at those and tell me if you recognize those.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What are those photos? What do they depict?
Those are photos of the deceased female laying face down.
Okay. And are those photos of the deceased female as they appear on August arrival on scene?
I believe it was approximately 11 a.m.
11 a.m. Okay. And are these photos fair and accurate representations of how the deceased female looked on August 24th of 2018?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, the state moves into evidence Exhibits 116 and 117. Any objection?
No objection, Judge.
These two items will come into evidence without objection at this time. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, let me remind you of something I told you on Thursday, since it's been 3 days in between. The items that officially come into evidence by my pronouncement take on a different significance. They're the actual evidence in the case. They will go back with you into the jury room during deliberations. There may be other items that are used during the trial that do not officially come into evidence, such as items used to refresh a witness's memory or demonstrative aid here in court. That's not the actual evidence, will not go back with you into the jury room. Also, now that an item is officially in evidence, it may be shown to you or published to you by either of the attorneys. And you may proceed, Mr. Richardson.
And permission to publish, sir.
You may do so.
Okay. Okay. So as we're looking here at Exhibit 116, go ahead and describe for the jury and also for the record what we're looking at.
That is what I saw whenever I first arrived on scene. made contact with the body.
Okay. And Exhibit 117?
It's another angle.
Same body?
Yes, sir.
And both of these depict the victim on August 24th of 2018?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And from that point forward, you're a road deputy, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then did you then notify detectives within the homicide division of the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office?
I notified my supervisor, and supervisor makes the notifications from there.
Okay, so from that point forward, this was not your case, and more homicide detectives came in and they began their investigation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, Deputy Gilkey. I have no further questions for you.
Yes, sir.
Just very briefly, sir, that area that you found the body in, that wasn't a wooded area, correct?
It's partially wooded. Just depends on where, but that's what I did.
Okay. Do you remember seeing the deposition at least? Okay. Do you remember seeing that deposition when asked? If the area was wooded, you said, I wouldn't describe it as wooded.
Right.
No further questions?
Any further questions from the state?
No regret.
May Deputy Gilkey be released from his subpoena?
Yes, sir.
Any objection?
No objection.
If released from your subpoena, you're free to stay or leave as you wish.
Thank you.
And the state's next witness, sir.
William Moore.
Please swear affirm that you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Morning.
Morning.
If you could, please state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
William Drew Mullen III, M-U-L-L-A-N.
And what do you do for a living?
Self-employed.
All right. Back in 2018, did you own a business?
Yes.
Okay, and what business did you own?
There's a pizza restaurant in Vero Beach.
Okay. And during that time, would you ever have to travel along Russo Road in St. Lucie County?
Yes.
Okay, why would you travel along that road?
Cut back road, stay away from traffic, that kind of stuff.
So what I want to do is I want to go back to August 23rd of 2018. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
Okay, was there something that occurred that led you to reach out to law enforcement?
Yes. That was the, are you talking about this is the day, during the day, right?
Or during the nighttime?
During the nighttime.
There's something
yes.
that you saw that on an evening along Russo Road?
Yes.
Okay.
There
What
was
is
a-
it that you just? What is it that you saw as you were? Well, first off, were you driving at night on August 23rd?
At night, yes, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
Where were you going?
I
was going back home.
from pizza place. So I was pulling onto the route. There's nobody on the road that night. Just so happened to be a truck sitting there, so
All right. Now, before I ask you some questions,
30.
and if you could describe for the jury, you're turning down Russo Road.
Yes.
Describe for them what you see. If there is a vehicle, describe the vehicle. What do you see it doing?
Yeah, so as soon as I turned on the road, it was dark, and then all of a sudden, lights popped on. So it was probably about 100, 150 yards on the road. So I thought that it just started coming towards the vehicle, and that vehicle started coming towards me. I noticed it was a truck, and it was kind of creeping towards me. It was a silver or gray truck, like a full-size truck, and it was I noticed it had like shiny, like rims and pieces of truck, not, and then I just passed by the truck, so dark tint windows.
Can you describe something happening with the lights when you saw the truck?
Yeah, as soon as I pulled on the road, it was like the fog lights had popped on right on all your lights. It was like fog lights. I feel like a lower light, so.
And that's my next question. So you described it as fog lights. Where would those lights be on the truck that you saw?
More down towards the bottom. So that's why I suspect, it wasn't like your normal headlight came that on. It was like a light that were on, so.
And as you approached the truck, what did it do?
Immediately started, I could tell it just started like kind of creeping towards me. So as I was going east from Johnson Road, it started coming west towards Jim.
All right, and then where did that truck end up?
Since it was kind of weird, I was watching it in my rearview mirror. It stopped at the stop sign, and then it took a right, which would be north on Johnson Road.
And did you do anything in response at this time?
No, I mean, I just kept going and went home that night, like normal, so.
So you didn't contact law enforcement? All right, what caused you to end up to reaching out to law enforcement?
Well, this was my everyday route. So the next day when I was coming down that road, I noticed they had it blocked off. And I was I was on 27th Ave. I'm from Vero, so I call it 27th Ave. So then I went down to Indrio, went down, then went west, got on Johnson Road, started going towards Vero, and then when I came up on Russo Road, I noticed that there was police officers parked there. So I figured maybe I should stop and at least tell them what I saw the night before, because it had something to do with it. So.
And is that what you ended up doing?
Yes, I immediately pulled over on the side of the road and spoke with a detective.
Thank you. Mr. Mullen, I don't have any other questions.
No.
Mr. Mullen, do you mention the subpoena? Sorry, any objection? No objection. Mr. Mullen, you are released from your subpoena. You can stay or leave as you wish. Thank you. And the next witness or item of evidence.
The state calls
Elizabeth Petola. Ma'am, if you can raise your right hand and face the clerk.
Please swear affirm that evidence you're about to
Morning, ma'am. Can you state your name for the record and spell your last name, please?
My name is Elizabeth Petola, last name.
Scoot up to the microphone, maybe we could angle it so it could amplify her voice.
Okay. My name is Petola, Bedolla.
And did you have Tania Wise?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. I want you to go ahead and describe Tania for us. So first, way back on August 23rd of 2018, how old was Tania?
She was 23.
I'm sorry?
She was 23.
Okay. And did she have children?
Yes. At home, she had an 8-year-old, Jamar, and she was pregnant.
Okay. How far along was she in her pregnancy?
She was about 8.5 months.
Okay. And had Tania decided on the name of the baby?
She decided that on the baby shower. It's Josiah Thomas Wise,
Okay. A boy.
a boy.
Okay. And did she live with you on August 23rd of 2018.
Yes, sir.
Okay, where did you guys live? What was the address?
2014 Southwest Larchmont Lane in Port St. Lucie.
Okay, is that located near Bayshore Boulevard?
Yes.
Okay, and is there like a is there a Winn-Dixie close to that area?
Yeah, if you continue the road, it's 2 blocks down. There's a Winn-Dixie.
Okay. Do you remember her phone number?
I believe so. It's 772-607.
Okay. And did you pay for it or did somebody else pay for it?
Bradley paid for it.
And what's Bradley's name?
Bradley, I think it's Rodriguez. I'm not sure if Rodriguez or Hernandez, one of the two.
Bradley Rodriguez?
Uh-huh.
Brother Rodriguez Jr.?
Yes.
Okay. So let me go back and I want to focus you in on the events of August 23rd, 2018 in the evening. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. What were you doing around 8 in the evening on that day in your house?
Me and my daughter, Tanya, we had given her son a bath because he was going to school. So we gave him a bath around that time always. And I was going to get him dressed. She was going to go out. She needed to get drinks because he didn't have no drinks for lunch the next day.
Okay. And did she, about what time did she leave?
It's probably around anywhere between a little bit after 8. I mean, I said a little bit. I mean, I didn't exactly look at the clock, but I know it was a little bit after 8. Could have been 8:15, 8:20. It was around that time.
Okay. Okay. And when she left, where was she going again? I couldn't quite hear you. I'm sorry.
She was going to go get drinks for her son for school for his lunch.
Okay.
That's the purpose she left the house, because she had problems walking and everything because of her pregnancy. So she left just to get the drinks.
Okay. And was that the last time you ever saw your daughter? Okay. A follow-up doctor's appointment the following week?
Yes, it was a Tuesday for her C-section. They were going to schedule her C-section.
Okay. On the next Tuesday?
Mm-hmm.
And that was a scheduling appointment for her C-section?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's all the questions I had. Thank you.
Any questions from the defense?
Man, prior to your daughter's murder, you were aware that she was dating Bradley Rodriguez Jr., correct?
Yeah, they kind of had some type of relationship
Because he actually lived with you in your house, is that right?
for a short period of time.
Okay, and in March of 2013, you had actually kicked him out of your house, right?
Correct.
And that's because he got violent with Tanya?
I didn't like the way he treated her, yes.
Okay, but he laid hands on her in front of you?
I don't recall seeing him hitting her at all, but I just didn't like the way he treated my daughter.
You were also aware that she was dating another gentleman by the name of Mark Burke?
Objection, relevance?
Overruled objection. You may answer the question.
She was dating him. Like she separated from Mark. They kept a friendship and she dated Mark.
Were you aware that Mr. Bradley Rodriguez Jr. would threaten Tanya?
Objection, relevance, and exceed the scope of direct examination.
I'm concerned about, no, I'll overrule objection. You can answer the question.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Were you aware that Mr. Bradley Rodriguez Jr. had been threatening Tanya?
At one point, she had mentioned it to me.
Did you believe that Bradley Rodriguez Jr. was the father of your daughter's child?
I did.
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustaining the objection as to what this person's opinion was is irrelevant for purposes of the trial.
Around August 15th or 16th of that year, you took your daughter to Bradley Rodriguez Jr.'s house to pick up the baby clothes, is that right?
Yes.
And you told law enforcement that Mr. Burke actually was also abusive with your daughter, right?
Objection, here. Say?
Hold on a second. Please.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Burke was violent with your daughter, correct?
I think he was.
And your daughter just started speaking with another gentleman who went by the nickname of Casino, but his real name was Jared Christie.
That was her friend, yes.
I don't have any further questions.
Direct from the state.
No regret.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You may step down from the witness stand. And the state's next witness or item of evidence.
Yes, sir. The people of the state of Florida call Dr. Amanda O'Neill.
Were any of the other men seen by the ditch in a silver pickup truck? Do any of the other guys have a silver pickup truck? Were any of the other guys caught talking about killing Tanya? Were the guys DNA? Don't think so.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you state your name for the record and spell your last name, please?
Linda Rush Neal, O''Neil.
Okay. And Miss O'Neill, what did you do for a living back on August 23rd of 2018, 25th of 2018?
I'm in the state of Florida.
Okay. Can you give the jury a thumbnail sketch of your education, your training, and your experience, please?
I graduated from the University of Memphis in 1987 with a Bachelor's of Science degree. Following that, I attended East Tennessee State University Quillen College of Medicine, where I graduated with a medical degree in 1992. After that, I did a 5-year residency program, which I completed in St. Louis at St. Louis University Hospital in St. Louis. After that, I did a 1-year fellowship training in forensic pathology at the Broward County Medical Examiner's Office in Broward County, Florida.
Okay. And are you licensed to practice medicine in the state of Florida?
I am.
Okay. And I want to talk specifically about your career track. And you just mentioned Broward County. So can you go ahead and elaborate on that for the jury? What did you do in Broward County?
I joined there. I did my fellowship training there. And then I joined the Associate Medical Examiner there in January of 1999. I did 4, and then I became an Associate Medical Examiner for the West Palm Beach County Medical Examiner's Office. And I was there until May of 2009, which at that time I joined the District 19 Medical Examiner's Office, and I was there until I retired in 2020.
Okay. And go ahead and just give the jury a general description of what a medical examiner does.
Medical examiner is investigating certain deaths that fall under their jurisdiction. Most of them, of which we do autopsy examinations on, and the autopsy examinations are done to determine cause and manner of death.
Okay. And go ahead and describe what an autopsy is. Give the jury an overview about what an autopsy is. What an autopsy is.
Basically, an autopsy is an examination of a deceased person It's an external examination of the body and an internal examination of the body. The external examination of the body is not only the characteristics of the body, so whatever's on the body, or anything else that you would find on the body, evidence would be collected from the body. Then there would be documentation of injuries or any kind of other kind of abnormalities on the external part of the body. Photographs would be taken during all these parts of the autopsy examination. Sometimes x-rays are taken prior to the internal examination, and then an internal examination is done, in which the chest cavity is open, the abdominal cavity is open, the cranial cavity is open, all the organs of those cavities are taken out and examined.
Okay. And approximately how many autopsies have you performed in your entire career?
I don't remember the exact count, but when I retired, it was over 5,000.
Okay. And have you ever testified in circuit court regarding your findings from an autopsy?
I have,
Approximately how many times?
over 100 times. I don't have an exact number.
And were you working on August 25th of 2018?
I was.
Okay. And what were you doing?
That day, on August 25th of 2018, I became involved with the case of Tania Wise and did an autopsy examination on her that morning.
Okay. And what materials did you review in order to form your opinions in this case?
You mean just recently or at
Ever.
the time?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, obviously, all the findings of the medical examiner's office, any information that would be given to me by law enforcement or their personnel, laboratory findings, because we do other things like toxicology analysis and microscopic examinations. We did an x-ray examinations on her body, so all of those would have been involved in determining the cause and manner of death.
Okay, thank you. And you mentioned a toxicology test.
Yes.
Was it, we'll start there. Was a toxicology test performed on Tania Wise?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and first explain what the toxicology test is and what it's testing for.
During the autopsy examination, we take blood and other body fluids. Those are sent to a laboratory that does the toxicology testing. They test for, they do drug screen and alcohol screen, testing for the presence of those in the body, and in this case.
Okay. And what were the results?
The results, in this case, I took heart blood from her to level of 0.17 grams per deciliter of methane. All time of the autopsy, I took vitreous fluid, which is fluid from the eye, and that was then showed no ethanol present in that specimen.
Okay. Ethanol is alcohol.
Correct.
Okay, so can you go ahead and explain to the jury why that number for ethanol is important to them?
Yes. In this case, there was some decomposition occur, and ethanol can be created by bacteria that is in the body and is affecting the body after when decomposition starts. It can create ethanol in the body. So her level was so small that, in my opinion, it's from the decomposition, because vitreous fluid in the eye. And this particular autopsy, there was a collection of blood in the cranial cavity called septal hemorrhage, which would be unlikely as affected by bacterial decomposition than the heart blood would be. And it showed no evidence of ethanol either. So none in the vitreous fluid, none in the ocular fluid, and just a small amount in the heart blood fluid.
Okay. Is that more consistent with decomposition and inconsistent with ingesting alcohol, like what, beer, wine, etc.?
Yes.
And did you, I think you mentioned it earlier, but the injuries and the other important aspects of the autopsy?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibits number 118 through 143. Take a look at those for me for a second. What are those numbers, Mr. Ricky? 118 to 143.
These are all photographs from the autopsy examination.
Okay. And those exhibits right there, 118 through 143, are those fair and accurate depictions of the autopsy that you performed on Tania Wise and her baby Josiah?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, the state moves into evidence 118 to 143.
Any objection?
No objection.
Those items will come into evidence without objection.
And permission to publish.
You may.
Okay. So here we're looking at exhibit number 118. Go ahead and just briefly describe what.
This is how she was at the medical examiner's office before we started any of the examination. So it's an initial photograph showing her at the medical examiner's office.
Okay. And is it part of your process for every autopsy to take photographs like this where the victim comes in or the body comes in and you take initial photographs without unclothing them first?
Yes.
Okay. And this gets to exhibit number 119. And same question, what are we looking at here?
This is an identification photograph. This is taken after the body is cleaned so we can get a good picture of the face for identification.
Okay. And I first noticed there's some red marks on her face and shoulders and chest and arms. Can you explain to the jury what that is?
One of the things that happens after we die is the postmortem settling of the blood, which is called livor mortis or lividity. When we die, our blood stops moving in our body, and it will settle to the dependent area by gravity. So if you're on your back, it can settle on the back. If you're lying face down, it can settle on the front of the body. And for a period of time, that can move. Like for a period of time, if someone was on their face and moved over to their back, the lividity can move to the back, and vice versa, or in any other way that gravity is affecting the body. But after a certain amount of time, that lividity becomes fixed, which means that it's not going to move when the body moves. So it's fixed in the position of the dependent gravity in a body position.
Okay. And if we could advance to exhibit number 120, please. Okay. So here we are looking at exhibit number 120. What exactly do you see here, doctor, that's important to you?
This is a photograph of a wound on the top of the head. It's on the top of the head, but the posterior aspect, so the top back of the head. You can see there, through the head hair, you can see that there is a large wound that's visible.
Okay. And exhibit number 121, please.
Again, that's a close-up, showing that this is a gaping wound, and it's a full-thickness gaping wound, because even now, even with head hair there, you can see at the bottom of that photograph skull, you can see visible skull through the margins of the wound.
Okay. And exhibit number 122, please.
This is that same wound.
123.
This is after the head hair around it has been shaved, so you can get a better look at the margins of the wound and the tissue involving the wound, and then again you can see the skull through the base of that laceration.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, we're looking at exhibit 122 here. Okay, so tell us about this wound, doctor. Can you go into more detail about that wound? First of all, what you believe caused it, and what were the consequences from it?
Well, this type of wound is a blunt trauma injury, meaning that it's a forceful blow to the body. Blunt trauma injuries include bruises or contusions. It includes abrasions, scraping of skin. It includes lacerations, which is kind of a crush and tear injury of the skin. And fractures are also common blunt trauma injuries. In this case, this wound is a full thickness laceration or blunt force trauma, and fracture of the skull too underlying this. So this is a full thickness laceration, thickness blunt force injury, which would have been a very forceful blow with some type of heavy object. I can't say specifically what that object was.
Is this something that could have been caused by human hands, or does it require something heavier and more substantial?
I cannot think of a way that this could have been caused by a human hand.
Okay. So when you say a heavy object, can you elaborate on that?
Objection, Judge calls for speculation.
I'll move to speculation, objection, so long as it's within your ability as a doctor to describe it with some specificity.
Heavy object being something not lightweight, something with some weight to it, and it would be used forcefully to cause this injury.
Okay. Would it have had to have had a sharp edge to it at some point?
This is a blunt force injury, so blunt force injuries wouldn't necessarily be caused by anything sharp. There's no sharp margin of the wound. When you think of a laceration is kind of a tearing, a crush and tearing injury. Like if you had a piece of material and you tore it, and you have those little bridging fibers between it, that's kind of a sharp force injury is going to have smoother margins, like if you had that same material and you cut it with scissors, and it would be nice and smooth on each side. So this is a blunt force injury.
Okay. If we could advance to the next slide, which is exhibit 123. 123, what are we looking at here?
This is the same wound. In the previous photographs, it's gaping open. So we try to reapproximate the margins to see if we can get any other identifying features. Not necessarily to determine right from the picture what it was, but if we have something in that comparison.
In exhibit 124.
That is the same wound, reapproximated with the margins pushed together. You can see there's some perpendicular lacerations extending from the margins of the wound.
Okay, and how long was this wound?
The wound was 9 centimeters in length, which is approximately 3.5 inches.
And go ahead and describe the consequences of this wound. What conditions did you see? What flowed from that?
Well, on the internal examination, when the skin is removed from the scalp, there's a skull fracture that's visible. And then when the top of the cranium is taken off, when we look at the brain inside, there's actual bruising of the brain. There's subarachnoid hemorrhage of the brain, which is the thin layer that covers the brain itself. And then the dura, which is a thicker membrane around the brain, there was subdural hemorrhage or hemorrhage underneath that dura. So it not only affected the skin and the skull, it also affected the brain.
Okay. And when you say subdural hemorrhage, what exactly does that mean?
That means that there's collection of blood, that there was bleeding inside the cranial cavity that collected in the subdural space.
Okay. And you also used the word that I have the same question for, subarachnoid hemorrhage. What is that?
The arachnoid layer is a very thin, translucent tissue that covers the external part of the brain. And so it would be underneath that layer.
And you indicated that there was a skull fracture present as well?
Correct. Starts at the point where this, you see this laceration and the region of the skull. So it's a linear fracture extending from the point of the blow.
And is there also cerebral edema
Yes.
present? Can you explain to the jury what that is?
When the brain undergoes trauma like this, one of the things that quickly happens is the brain swells because of the injury. So cerebral edema is swelling of the brain.
He didn't even have to slit her throat.
Dr. O'Neill, can you, based on your training and experience, can you describe for the jury,
Yeah, me
as
too,
best you
Wiggles. It's
can,
gone.
how much
Witness
force
number
was
5.
used to cause the injuries to Miss Wise's head
Not even
that we've seen
10:30.
thus far?
What I could say is it's extreme force. It's one forceful blow with an instrument that would be heavy enough to create that wound.
Okay. Is the wound that you've just described and the pictures that correspond to it, would that have automatically rendered Miss Wise unconscious, or could she have maintained at least some measure of consciousness after receiving that blow?
It may or may not have rendered her immediately unconscious.
And I'll set aside the other injuries and just focus on this injury, okay? If we set aside those injuries, is this head wound, is this head injury sufficient by itself to cause death, assuming that there's no immediate medical attention that Miss Wise could have received?
Yes, this one could have caused death.
Okay. Now, as we're sitting here, you've just described the injury, we've seen the photos. Let me ask you this. Did Miss Wise feel a high degree of pain as a result of this injury?
They objected to, did she feel pain? Was that what the objection was? You ever been hit in the back of the head? Yeah, she felt pain.
Stand.
And then let's proceed to the next exhibit. What number? Okay. We're looking at 125, I'm sorry. Go ahead and describe this for the jury.
This is a photograph of the same injury. The skull is present at the base.
Okay. And 126? What are we looking at here?
This is a photograph of the skull after the scalp has been removed. During the autopsy examination, we make an incision across the top of the scalp and reflect it forward and reflect it backward. So
look
this
at it.
injury, that you can see the skull is visible, the entire skull is visible. And you can see that linear,
Don't get to look at it.
there's a
Jim.
line that's going in the picture. It's horizontal, just above where the ruler is, and that's the fracture. the point of impact being on the right side of that, and then that extending across that photograph.
And the next, which is one. We're looking at 127 here. Go ahead and explain what we're looking at here.
Again, that is the fracture, linear fracture. The top of the head is actually just above the ruler there. The top of the head is towards the right. So that would have been underlying that point of impact. And then you see the linear fracture. It gives you a little bit better location of how that fracture starts at the top posterior part of the head and then goes around the left side of the skull.
Okay. And 128, please. Okay. Again, what are we looking at?
This is a photograph of the brain after the skull cap has been removed. You can see there's darker red regions of the brain, and then there's more pink or lighter is hemorrhage and contusion of the brain. And that would be, there's a little thin translucent membrane, that's the subarachnoid membrane that we were talking about, and you can see that there's hemorrhage underneath that.
And the next exhibit, which is 129. Okay, so let's transition from the head injury to other injuries over the body. What were the locations on the body that you observed additional injuries?
There was a large incised wound that extends from the front of the neck to the back of the neck. And then in this photograph, you see a smaller incised wound, which is on the left clavicular region of the body, so just near the left clavicle. That's an incised wound. That's a sharp wound. If you look at the margins of that wound, you see they're nice and smooth. So it's caused by something that's sharp.
This is true, Wiggles. Can't put all the blame
We're
on
looking at
her.
129 here, and go ahead
It's
and,
not gonna let me.
I believe you said this was on the clap.
It's not gonna let me put your comment up, so I'm gonna read it. I have an opinion. We always say she knew he was married. One would hope he remembered he was married too. I agree. It's not just her. It's him too. They both should have not been with each other.
In the clavicular region of, yes.
Okay. And how deep and long was this wound?
This one was 2 centimeters in length and 0.5 centimeters in depth. To give you a comparison, 2.54 inches is related to a so, I mean, 2.54 inches.
2.54 centimeters in
I believe
an
that's
inch.
correct. Yeah.
Okay. And we'll move on to exhibit 130. What are we looking at here?
This is the incised wound of the neck. This is one of the wound starts in the front of the neck and goes around to the right side of the neck and to the right back of the neck. This is the incised wound at the anterior margin, and it's really bifurcated. Right here, you're seeing one margin of that wound. If we go to another photograph, I think you'll see that there's more than.
Yes, ma'am. Go to 131.
Right. So this is the wound margin when the head is tilted back, and you can see that there are 2 distinct lines, a V-shaped bifurcation of the anterior part of the neck where this incised wound starts at the front of the neck. You can see it goes full thickness through the skin, and then it goes around the side of the neck to the back of the neck. In this case, there are 2 wound tracts that merge. So there's 2 incised wounds that merge into one wound tract.
Meaning that there were 2 wounds, not one. This is not one continuous wound, this is 2.
2, yes.
And can you explain and describe for the jury how long each wound was as well as the depth?
Yes. I believe I said it backwards before. So an inch is 2.54 centimeters. To give you, I think I said it backwards last time. But this wound in centimeters was 19 centimeters in length. And in inches, that would be 7.5 inches in length.
And the depth?
The depth of the wound ranged from in the deepest part of that wound, it went to 1 and 1.5 inches. And in other areas, is 1 and 1/4 inches in depth.
Okay. At any point along that wound, did it approach or even touch the neck bone or any bone in the neck?
At its deepest margin on the lateral neck, you could see the cervical vertebrae at the base of the wound, yes.
And describe the amount of force that would have had to have been used to create those wounds that we're seeing here in Exhibit 131.
This would have been caused with a sharp force instrument. So it's a cutting, incised, sharp force injury. So depending on the wound and how sharp it was, it would depend on the force.
Do you mean the instrument? You said the wound and how sharp it was. You mean the instrument?
The instrument would have a sharp edge, yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so depending on the instrument and the sharpness of the instrument, that would depend on how much force it would take to create these injuries.
Okay. And what is the directionality of these incised wounds?
These wounds start and end on the posterior part of the neck,
Okay. So front to back.
front to back.
And if we could advance to the next slide. Okay, now we're looking at Exhibit 132. Go ahead and describe this for the group.
So this is on the right side of the neck. This is where those two incised wounds have merged together and have created one larger incised wound. And you're looking at that wound gaping open on the right side of the neck.
Okay. And the next exhibit? 133.
Again, that's the incised wound. You can see the bifurcation on the anterior neck. And then on the right side of the neck, you can see that there is depth to this wound. You can see where it's gaping open. Those are the regions where it went the deepest on the right side of the neck.
And exhibit 134.
This is showing the wound approaching towards the back of the neck. So this is the right side of the neck, and the wound continues to the posterior right neck.
Okay. And exhibit 135. What are we looking at?
Because there's an incised wound of the neck, we want to see what things were damaged by that. There's obviously skin, soft tissue, and some muscular damage because of the sharp force trauma. But also we're looking at the vessels, what vessels would have been affected in the neck. In this photograph, you can see the forceps is holding up. This is the external right jugular vein that's completely transected. You can see the hole underneath the forcing that jugular vein incised open.
Okay. And just a little bit more detail. What is the purpose of the jugular vein do?
Scalp and face, it's draining it from our head in those regions and taking it back to the heart.
And and we're seeing here that the external jugular vein has been cut or severed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you describe for the jury the amount of loss of blood that would have resulted from this wound?
Well, this wound, there would be quite a bit of blood lost from this wound, and this blood loss from this wound could cause death in and of itself if it's not medically treated.
Okay. And the next slide. 136 we're looking at here?
That's a close-up of that external jugular vein. You can see it better in this photograph. The opening there is the external jugular vein incised open.
Okay. Exhibit 137.
And this is the posterior neck. So you can see that this incised wound goes all the way around from the front of the neck, the right side of the neck, to the back of the neck.
And I want to return to the head injury for a second. Okay. As you know from the materials, the victim was found in near some vomit. Can you describe to the jury what would have caused the vomit?
Well, nausea and vomiting is not uncommon with head wounds and head trauma. So in this instance, that type of head injury could induce vomiting.
Is there a relationship between the victim vomiting and the loss of consciousness or the ability to stay conscious?
No.
And did you observe?
Could you re-ask and clarify that question and answer? I'm not sure I understood.
Okay. With respect to the vomit, okay, when somebody vomits, does that mean that, can someone vomit in a state of unconsciousness?
Yes.
Okay. And did you observe any defensive wounds on Miss Wise's body?
I did not.
Okay. And based on the materials that you've read and your overall understanding of the case, based on your examination and your photographs and everything that you've described, can you tell the jury what can you tell the jury about the time of death in this case?
Time of death is it's a very difficult thing to determine. There are factors that we look at to see if we can narrow down a time frame. Basically, when we're looking at time of death, in a case like this where a body is found outside, we start with the window that's the easiest, which is when do we know they were last alive, when can we verify they were alive, and then when were they found. So that's the time frame we start with. As far as I recall, I believe she was last known to be alive around 8 o'clock the night prior. And then she's seen by a passerby close to 11 o'clock in the morning the next day. So that's our time frame window. And then we look at other factors of the body to see if we can make any determination of anything that we can narrow that down. One of the things that we look at is the stiffening of the body. Stiffening or rigidity or rigor mortis is when the body, after someone dies, because of reactions that are happening in the muscle fibers of the body is first flaccid, then it becomes stiff, fully stiff for a certain period of time, and then that stiffness goes away. Typically, and under normal circumstances, that rigidity, it would take approximately 12 hours for it to become really full, so a person is really fully stiff. Then it would stay about 12 hours, and then after that, it would go away in 12 hours. So in about 36 hours, they've gone through the whole range. She was seen there at 10:53. Investigator from our office was at this scene around 1 o'clock and noted that there was full rigidity. So at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, on August the 25th, she was in. Another thing that we look at when we're looking at the body is the lividity that we just discussed. The lividity is the pooling of the blood. The blood goes to where the lowest point that gravity is taking it, and it will stay there. And if it stays there and the body's not moved, it becomes fixed. In other words, even if we move the body after that, that lividity is not going to move. That usually takes somewhere between 8 and 12 hours. So in her case, at 1 o'clock, the investigator's there, she's moved, and her lividity is on the anterior part of the body. So the next day, when I do the examination of the body, it's still on the anterior part of the body, which means it was fixed there. So at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, that was fixed. So if we look at those times, assuming, that the rigidity is there at 1 o'clock and the validity is fixed at 1 o'clock, could be at least 12 hours from the time of her death, and it can be longer, up to 24, which we know it wasn't that long because we know that she was alive. So.
Before you continue on with your examination, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to take our mid-morning bathroom break for 10 minutes. Please remember, leave your notes on your chairs. Do not discuss the case with each other. Please proceed to the jury room. Feel free to use the restrooms, and we'll be with you in about 10 minutes.
Well, I can't zoom today. That's it. That's all I can zoom. It's like 30 seconds. You're not a terrible person. You just have a weird sense of humor. Don't we all in this chat, though? Okay, hurry up and come back and get on with it, because I gotta leave in an hour. So, did she ever say time of death yet? She explained rigor mortis and liver mortis. But did she ever actually get to time of death? And no defensive wounds? That means a coward snuck up behind her and hit her in the back of the head and she didn't see anything coming. Hey, madam. I don't like the defense bringing up all of her other relationships. I understand why they're doing it. I mean, it brings up doubt. But she had an abusive boyfriend that was an ex. The other ones that the other ones that she was seeing weren't abusive though, right? Or was it just, wait, let me look back at my notes. Hang on. What? Charges against Karen Reed for what? Witness intimidation? Good Lord. They need to just drop that whole thing now. Okay, so there was Bradley Rodriguez Jr. He was the abusive ex that her mom kicked out. And then there was some guy named Mark. Oh, Mark was abusive too? So she had two abusive ex. Okay, two abusive ex. Yeah. Leave Karen alone. Just leave Karen alone. It's okay. AJ will take care of it. he didn't even do anything. He was just being a journalist doing his job. He didn't even do anything. And now they're going to drag her back into this? Give up, Massachusetts. You lost. Yes, madam's future ex-boyfriend will deal with it. They're just butthurt because the jury didn't side with them. They're like, okay, well, we'll get her this way. No, you won't, because she didn't do anything. Jeez. I am so tired of mean people. Quit being mean to people. Just live and let live. You don't always have to be right all. Sometimes you just gotta take the L and shut it. Too many people don't know how to do that anymore. Like yesterday, I was on Facebook and I was trying to tell somebody something and they kept saying, cite your sources. And every time, so I couldn't win. So finally I said, well, you know what? We can't both be wrong. We will just have to wait and see whose sources end up being the right one. Because it didn't matter. He didn't care. He was like, well, cite your sources. And then when I did, he didn't care. It didn't matter what source. He didn't believe it no matter what. I'm getting so tired of people that just will not listen. They'd never, ever, ever listen. They just want to scream and yell and holler, you're wrong. They don't use their brain. They just have this set idea in their head. And they can't listen to anything opposing that idea logically. They can't. It's just, no, it's my way or the highway. That is what is dividing us, y'all. And that is what is happening in Massachusetts with this stupid Karen Reed thing. Let the woman alone, people. She didn't do anything wrong. You got her for drunk driving. Hooray. I was so upset when my neighbor had the road to my house closed. And, oh, that makes sense. That's why they won't give her her phones back. But I am so glad now that I'm isolated out here in the middle of nowhere and people can't find me, because when the Civil War breaks out, I'm safe. Nobody knows where I am. And y'all watch The Walking Dead? I'm out here surrounded by farmland. Guess who lived the longest in The Walking Dead? The people that had farmland. I have a generator. I have a well. I have land to grow crops. I'm set. Yes, Wiggles, you always win. Hasn't it been 10 minutes yet? Come on, people. That's true, Judy. 10 minutes in court time are different than a real 10 minutes.
All right, and you may continue with the witness.
One final question regarding this neck wound. If you were to set aside the other injuries in this case and simply look and examine the neck wound on its own, by itself, is that sufficient to cause the death of Tania Wise, so if she did not receive immediate medical attention?
Yes.
Okay. And part and parcel to your autopsy, is there a process by which a blood standard is collected?
At the autopsy examination, we do collect a blood standard DNA sample.
Okay, and what is the purpose of that?
It could be for comparing DNA or
Investigators find a blood spot and they don't know the identity, would they be able to take the blood standard and then compare it to see if there's a match?
correct.
Okay, I'm going to show you what has been marked as states number 144. Do you recognize this? And you can open it up if you need to.
This is an envelope that contains post-mortem evidence collection, Tania Wise, her autopsy number, and the date of the autopsy examination are on the envelope, and my initials are signed on this. So this would have been collected at the time of the autopsy.
Okay, and is that the blood standard of Tania Wise?
I can't see inside the envelope, but this would be an envelope that would be in. This is a
Okay.
DNA standard.
Isn't it
envelope.
marked on the
Is the
outside?
packaging consistent with that being a blood standard of Tania Wise?
Yes,
Okay, and are your initials actually on that?
yes.
Okay. Does it appear to be in the same or substantially the same condition that it was in when it was collected on August 25th of 2018?
There are other initials and other tape on here that have been added since I did this.
Sure.
So it's been to other places, but the envelope, yes, is in the same type of condition, yes.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Your Honor, the state moves into evidence exhibit number 144. Thank you. Okay, doctor, now I want to turn your...
Oh my God, I didn't
And-
think about that.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit number 138 for identification purposes. What are we looking at here?
During the autopsy examination, as we open body cavities, we take photographs of things that are, any findings, internal findings. This is the abdominal cavity of Tania Wise opened, and that large object you see there is the uterus, the womb, and it is extremely enlarged because of a pregnancy.
Okay. And turn your attention now, and we'll move ahead to Exhibit 139. What is that?
This is a photograph of the womb opened up. The head inside this amniotic sac, you can see just still intact. There's a fetus, a near full-term fetus. The head of
There's a
the
baby.
fetus is toward the birth canal, the vaginal canal, so it would be in a head-first type of positioning, and it's a near full-term fetus.
Okay, so it was head first into the womb, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. In Exhibit number 140.
This is the baby after I've incised the amniotic sac and I'm removing the baby from the body. You can see that this is the same position it was in. full-term child with no abnormalities noted. Full-term fetus with, near full-term fetus with no abnormalities noted.
Okay. And exhibit number 141?
This is the fetus, Josiah Wise, on the examination table. You can see that anatomically is well-formed male fetus. All the weights and measurements are consistent with the estimated gestational age. And this is the back showing there's no abnormalities, nothing abnormal about the development of this fetus.
Okay, and exhibit, finally, the last exhibit is 143.
Again, this is examination of the fetus showing that it's well-formed, all extremities are well-formed, hands, feet, fingers, and toes are all well-formed, head and face are well-formed.
Did you weigh the baby and measure the baby?
Yes.
Okay, can you describe your results?
The weight was 5.22 pounds, and the measurement was 20 inches in length.
Okay. And I believe you said that there were no abnormalities, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Based on your autopsy as well as your review of Ms. Wise's medical records, is there any indication that this was anything other than a healthy baby boy?
No.
This was a healthy baby boy?
Yes.
Okay. Did the baby live after Ms. Wise died, or did they die at the same time? Can you provide some detail on that issue?
At this gestational age, that infant, any infant or fetus inside the womb is dependent on the mother's blood flow for nutrients and oxygen. When the mother has died, that blood flow stops. So the infant doesn't die instantaneously, but as it's depleted from oxygen and blood flow, it would die after she died, in a matter of minutes.
Okay. And what was the baby's cause of death?
Well, this was an intrauterine fetal demise, and it was an intrauterine fetal demise due to the maternal death due to blunt and sharp force trauma.
Okay. And final few questions. Based on your training and experience, could the head injury to Tania Wise have occurred before the neck injury?
It could have, yes.
Okay. That's all the questions I have. Thank you very much.
Cross-examination?
Thank you, Judge. Just very briefly. Ma'am, you said that you reviewed Ms. Wise's medical records?
Yes, that was given medical records to look at.
Okay, and did that include her records from her OBGYN?
There were some OBGYN records, yes.
OBGYN on August 13th of 2018, that they estimated that the fetus was 31 weeks gestation. Is that correct?
I don't recall that from them.
Would it refresh your recollection if I showed you her OBGYN's records from that date?
Okay.
Permission to approach the witness, Judge? Thank you, Judge.
Right there?
Yes.
And then the
August 13th.
highlighted portion right there.
Gestational age. It does say 31 weeks.
Okay, so on Ms. Wise's visit to her OBGYN who had been monitoring her pregnancy the entire time, on August 13th of 2018, her OBGYN noted that the baby's gestational age was 31 weeks. Is that correct?
According to those medical records, that's what they put in their medical records, yes.
Okay, and that was her OBGYN for the entirety of her pregnancy, correct?
I don't recall, but possibly yes.
Okay, would you like to see all of his medical records?
No, thank you.
Okay.
If that was her OBGYN, that was her OBGYN.
Okay, and also on that record that I just showed you, the estimated date of delivery for the fetus was October 15th of 2018. Is that correct?
I don't know if that's correct or not.
Would it refresh your recollection again if I showed you the OBGYN's records that you reviewed?
I don't know if I reviewed those specifically, but you can show them to me.
Sure,
yes.
permission to virtual administration. Thank you.
Yes, it just says, it does say 10/15/2018.
EDD, estimated date of delivery, correct?
That's correct.
And, ma'am, in your review of Ms. Wise's OBGYN's records, you learned that she had something called SVT.
Yes.
Okay, can you explain to the jury what SVT is?
SVT is supraventricular tachycardia, meaning that the heart can go into a rapid beat.
And it can be potentially fatal for the mother and the fetus, is that correct?
It's pretty fatal, yes.
That time inside this pregnancy was actually high risk pregnancy.
That, along with things that she had a pre-section also.
And just one final question, I think that you said this when you were talking to the state, but there was no independent injury to the fetus, correct?
That's correct.
No further questions, Judge.
Any further questions from the state?
The difference in gestational age of the child, does that affect the cause of death for the child?
No.
No further questions.
And may Dr. O'Neill be released from her subpoena at this time?
Subject to recall, sir.
You may step down subject to recall from the attorneys. Please be sure to have a contact number for them to get in touch with you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our lunch break a little bit early now because the attorneys have some business to attend to outside of your presence to keep the case streamlined. Counsel, 12:45 suffice. We got done a little break. Don't discuss the case with anyone. Don't do any research whatsoever. Please leave your notes here. Let's aim at 12:45 coming back into session. Thank you.
Wow, I wonder who she's looking at. If looks could kill,
Jury
man.
has exited. Before we break, there was that issue that the state mentioned earlier about taking testimony outside the presence of the jury to establish the unavailability of Ms. Lim, I think it was. Lim?
Yes, sir.
Did you want to do that at 12:30, perhaps?
I don't know if I can get my witness here in time.
Okay.
I'll try to get her here as quickly as I can. I just don't know.
Well, it might be convenient, just to, since we got the timer.
Yeah.
I don't know when you were planning on putting on her testimony.
Yeah, either today, we might be able to get to it tomorrow.
Okay, so we'll come back at 12:45. Enjoy your lunch. We'll see you at 12:45. Go off the record.
Okay, guys. That kind of worked out perfect for me. We did just take a break. Yeah. I don't know why they broke early for lunch, but it works out good for me because I have to leave in about half an hour. So I can make some lunch before I leave and not be hungry. Although there's plenty of restaurants in Gainesville, but I don't have any money. I have just enough money for my doctor's appointment because I don't get paid till Wednesday. So we're gonna call it for today, unless no, he said to be back at. Oh, it is an hour and a half. Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking that was only an hour, but it is an hour and a half. I don't know what time I'm going to get home this afternoon. Depending on what time I get home, we will zoom through afternoon court. If it's not feasible, like if I get home at like 4:30 or something, then we'll just zoom through tomorrow and catch up to the live. So make sure you have your notifications turned on. So obviously, again, we won't be doing Betty in the morning because we're gonna have to catch up on whatever we miss. But thank you guys for coming out. I'm so glad that we got to do this because I thought I got everybody's hopes up and then we didn't get to do it. So thank you again, Judy, for finding it. And I'm glad that we got to do it. I don't know what else to say. I feel like we've done nothing today. But we did get through, how many witnesses? 5? Yeah. 5 witnesses already. And complete opening statements and 5 witnesses in how many hours? 2.5 hours? That's not bad. So, okay, guys. I will see you later today or tomorrow. I don't know which. And remember, be kind to people, love your family, and Jesus loves you, and so do I. Bye, guys.